All right, good evening, folks. I'm going to call this meeting of the Mayor and Council to order. Today is May the 10th. It is 6 p.m. Today with us we have Pastor Smith, who will lead us in the invocation, followed by Corporal Tommy Thornhill, who will lead us in the pledge. Is he here? No. Well, I think we'll figure that out. Okay. All right. So if everybody please rise, we could probably do that. Pastor Smith.
Honored members of this council, Mayor, we give honor to all of you and all of even the honorees and all of the service that you gave to this great city. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we are so grateful. We're thankful. We're humbled that we can come together in unity today. Thank you, Lord God, for these, your people who have chosen a life of service. And Lord God, you said that it is better for us to serve one another. And service, and when we serve like this, you give us strength. And strength is for service and not for status. So we thank you and we praise you, Lord God, as this meeting comes to order. Let your wisdom descend upon this place, Lord God, that they would govern with your wisdom to know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. So we give you glory, we give you honor, and we give you praise this day for this great city and this great leadership that's governing with your wisdom. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. And every heart said amen, amen. And amen.
All right, thank you, sir. Right on time. If you will come on over, we'll have you lead us in the pledge, and then I'll say a couple of words about both of these gentlemen. You can do the mic. Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you all. You may be seated. So, Pastor Smith is pastor for 10 years at the Shepherd's House of Prayer in Rica, Georgia. He is an Army veteran with over 22 years of active federal service. His service has been recognized by our 45th president. He was here just a few years ago for that, and Commander-in-Chief Donald Trump. He was assigned with the U.S. Army Chaplains Corporation, preaching to U.S. Army Reserve troops in the southeastern region of the United States. Pastor Smith is currently a chaplain with the Douglas County Sheriff's Department in Douglasville, Georgia. He's been happily married for 27 years to his wife, Penny. They have one son, Alicia. I might have said that wrong. Elisha, who is 26 years old, and they all reside in Douglasville, Georgia. Would y'all give him a hand for being here with us tonight? And Corporal Tommy Thornhill, who was right on time, has served with the United States Marine Corps from 2007 to 2011. He served at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and Okinawa, Japan, before separating from service with an honorable discharge. Thornhill returned to Georgia before pursuing a career in law enforcement. He has served with the city of Rica since 2016 and is currently assigned as a corporal in the parole division. Thank you for your service. Would you all give him a hand? All right, so we will move into ceremonial presentations, and tonight we have a number of those. I'm going to ask Pete, is it Pete that's going to do this? Come forward tonight. First, would you hand Pete a handheld mic? We're going to start with recognition of licenses. Hunter Oldham, Class 3 wastewater license. Pete, if you'll introduce Hunter and say something nice about him.
Come on up here, Hunter. One thing I'd like to say about Hunter is that he is one of the newest members of our wastewater group that is part of the operator in training.
Just a little closer.
Part of our operator in training program, which means that when they're hired, they're actually have no background experience in wastewater whatsoever. So when they come on board, they have to learn all aspects of wastewater treatment. And then to be successful after they're on the job training, they have to successfully pass the Class 3 certification to become a certified operator. And Hunter, we appreciate your efforts and all of your perseverance in getting that license. So thank you very much.
All right, next up we have, I'll see if I can pronounce this name correctly. CJ Mcdougall, Class 3 wastewater license. Pete,
Yes.
there you go.
Come on up, CJ. CJ is another one that started with our operator and training program. And again, he followed the same path that Hunter had to go down with learning all aspects of wastewater treatment, putting in the time, putting in the effort for studying, and hanging in there until he got that Class 3 license under his belt, which is no easy thing, by the way. These are difficult exams, and so these folks have really had to put in a lot of effort to achieve them. And with that, thank you. We appreciate the hard work.
Hold on. I know you know how to be photogenic. You hold your certificate up, it'll look better on the internet. Just a few notes. I've had a little experience. All right, Robert Elliott, wastewater collections license. Sir, you come up.
Hey, Robert is one of our crew leaders on the distribution collection team. I appreciate his leadership, and also by going after this wastewater collection license shows his leadership. And if you have good leaders, it can be contagious with the rest of the crew, that they also want to get that license and do more than they can and contribute to the job and become a better employee overall. So Robert, I appreciate all your hard work, and you are a hard worker, and thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, thank you. Okay, next up, Chase Martin, wastewater collection license. There you go, Pete. This is the most Pete has spoke probably in 2 years. Let me make sure this is on for you. Yeah, it's on. You just got to get a little closer to you.
Chase Martin. All right, this young
Wow,
this-
that's interesting.
This young man right here is a lot of fun. He works hard. He's on Robert's crew, and he's an operator, an equipment operator with a distribution collection team. And he also has achieved this wastewater collection license. So I really appreciate Chase putting forth the effort and hanging in there until he got successfully completed that. So congratulations.
Thank you. All right, and last but not least, Tyler Gable, State Wastewater Lab Analyst License. Come on up.
Tyler works in our wastewater lab. He currently holds a Class 3 wastewater license. And when we lost our lab analyst who had been here for, I guess, approximately 25 years and retired, Tyler stepped up and took the challenge. I think he's got a real affinity for the lab. He's really taken to it, applied himself, went after the license as quick as he could achieve it, and he's been a real asset to us at the wastewater plant and the lab, and we certainly do appreciate it.
All right, thank you. You know, these are really the roles that people, these jobs that they take on are the less glamorous of the jobs, but they are the ones that you really count on, but you don't really know how much you count on it until you go to flush a toilet or you go to do something in your house, like you drain the bathtub or something like that. And it's not, we talk about these aren't the sexy jobs, but these guys are very much appreciated in the hard work that they do, and they don't get a chance to come here and have anybody say that like so many of our departments do. So I want y'all to give them another round of applause, because that work is really important. And thank y'all. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is recognize anniversaries. So first up, we've got Christy Gale Frost, 5 years of service in distribution and collection. Another part of that job, actually. Christy Gale Frost. 5 years, that's practically a veteran here in these departments.
Well, Christy may have been here 5 years to date, but we've had the privilege of having her with our distribution collection department as of February of this year. So Christy has hit the floor running. She's been real eager to do reports, not only extra projects that I've had that she's helped me with, but also our new distribution collection manager, ordering supplies, taking care of everything that happens in the distribution collection system. So we really couldn't do what we do without her help and being a very important part of that operation. So we very much thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, and then also 5 years of service in solid waste, Ethan Joseph Waits. I did not know that was your name. I'm going to start picking on you from there. I know the Ethan part. I didn't know the Joseph Waits part. Yes, sir. There you go.
I asked Ethan earlier today, was he coming tonight? He said, shoot, yeah, man, I got my new shirt. Anyway, when Ethan started 5 years ago, he started in the rec department, cutting grass. Worked there for a couple of years, moved into the grounds division, cutting grass. And he made such an impact with his work ethic and his leadership that a few weeks ago we did some reorganization in the department, and we've placed Ethan over our solid waste division. And we made a great choice. Just every day, whatever it takes to get the route done. If he's a man short, 2 men short, he just kicks it up and just gets it done. So we are very much appreciative of having him, and congratulations on your 5 years.
See, the fun and excitement part is over, so time to go. So we have, I've had the opportunity to say this at several meetings of late, but the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police Chief of the Year is Michael Mansour here. We have him with us. But today I'm going to read to you the 3-year achievement. This is a certification that is looked at every 3 years, and it's based on a whole host of criteria. And our police department is one of 144 agencies in the entire state to be recognized with this certification. So I'm going to read this into the record tonight, and then I'll ask the chief if he wants to say a couple of words. I mean, when you're the chief of the year, you usually have a couple words to say. So it says, Dear Chief Mansour, congratulations for your achievement of law enforcement certification. the Joint Review Committee met on May the 5th, 2022, and approved your final report. This accomplishment establishes the Villa Rica Police Department as one of the top agencies in Georgia. You can clearly be proud of this achievement. State certification is neither easy nor simple. In fact, achieving state certification requires a great deal of effort and commitment to a complex task, which requires compliance with a solid and complete set of policies that cover all the areas found in the standards. Certification standards focus on officer safety and high liability issues. However, the certification process goes far beyond just these important issues by offering proof to your community that you are doing the right things for the right reasons. Certification standards are indeed a blueprint for success in the field of law enforcement. The state certification standards are continuously under review. This is reflected by the fact that the program is currently under Edition 6.2 of the certification standards. Recently, there were several modifications made to keep the state certification standards up to date with the current legal issues in law enforcement. There is little doubt that law enforcement is under a microscope nationwide. Certification is more relevant today than ever before. In 2006, the GACP partnered with the Georgia Interlocal Risk Management Agency, GIRMA, to provide special rate reduction incentives to cities and counties that have achieved and maintained their state certification status. These rate reductions will decrease liability premiums 20%. In addition, GIRMA contracted with the Legal and Liability Risk Management Institute to provide the most current legal updates available to enhance our ability to provide policy guidance in high liability areas. Achieving and maintaining high standards makes your agency more professional and provides the basis for your agency to be recognized as a role model through the award of state certification. This achievement is confirmation that your agency's practices are consistent with progressive professional standards. These high standards provide for greater operational and administrative effectiveness, ensure better understanding of your agency's policies and procedures, and when properly publicized, should lead to greater public confidence in your ability to provide quality service to the community. Your continued involvement in the state certification program is good for your agency, good for your constituency, and good for Georgia law enforcement. Since the program standards incorporate professional thought and practices in the state of Georgia and ensure the goal of increasing effectiveness and efficiency of Georgia law enforcement, I share your pride of accomplishment and commitment. Respectfully, A.A. Butch Ayers, Executive Director. So would y'all give the department a hand for this accomplishment tonight? Then I'm going to ask the chief to come up and say a few words. Because I think he points out in here that law enforcement is continually under a microscope, and I'm sure that you face that every day. We don't run a perfect operation here, but we strive to reach that highest standard always, and you lead that effort here. Go ahead, Chief.
The state certification is something that I feel is important for a department because, like it says in the letter, it holds us to certain standards to show that we are doing what we're supposed to do to make sure we do them right. We have to watch videos of all the stops. We have to, handle complaints a certain way. We have to ensure that our officers are not profiling in any way. So there's a lot of different standards that are involved, and you have to prove the standards. You can't just say, well, we're doing that. We have to show that we're doing them in a report, in a video, whatever, to prove that we are doing what we're supposed to do. So it is a big deal, and I'm proud of it for our department. The two people, I guess, were most involved in getting this done was Chris Baxter, who recently retired after 2 different brain surgeries, and she really worked hard to get this done. And Michelle Moore helped her, and then the whole department contributed. They will be coming I think at the next meeting or so to present us with our plaque, and I'd like to make sure they're here to recognize them.
Okay,
Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right, thank you, sir. You'll give him another hand. Okay, with that, let me double check that I have the executives on here. Okay. Does anyone have any modifications to make to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Move to
Mayor.
adopt it as presented.
I was going to say maybe we should move item D1 and C1, consider those together.
Well, let
I
me.
don't know if we need to adopt the agenda for
Yeah,
that
I mean,
or
I
not. But
think I can probably just move that in the process, but David, those really affect you, and really the second one is the one you needed to clarify. Is there any reason not to move those?
No.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, I wouldn't mind just going ahead and moving D1 up to, let's just put it below C1. And then, if there are no other modifications, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Yeah, as amended, move to adopt.
Okay. I have a motion from Mr. Carter to adopt the agenda as amended, a second from Ms. Marchman. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. We'll have an adopted agenda. Okay, so we will move into public comments. I have the public comment sheet here. There are, looks like 5 folks on here. I'll call your name, and if you're here for a public hearing, you can just let me know, and we'll take that up at the public hearing time. If at the end of this, you didn't put your name on this list, I'll give an opportunity at the end. So please keep your comments on a professional level. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. If you deviate from this protocol, you'll receive a warning from the chair. If you deviate a second time, you'll be leaving. Only one person speaking at a time, and please no comments from the audience. And please just remember that we don't typically engage back and forth. It's no disrespect. This is your 3 minutes to speak. So first up, Joel Crawford. Good afternoon, sir. If you'll come right over here, give us your name and address for the record, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Sure. My name is Joel Crawford. I'm at 340 Boulageri, or Boulangerie if you want to be fancy about it, Boulevard. Good evening, by the way. Most of what I have to say has to deal with actually next week, when the TAD development goes in for some conditions and zoning and approvals and a few other things. Now, first off, let me tell you that I think the TAD's a very good idea. I don't have many concerns with it, but what mine has is very local. My property, along with my neighbors, is the south side of that property, and there are some zoning requests to that and modifications that we'll talk about next week, and we'll probably object to there too. So this is kind of a heads up as to what we're going to talk. I believe they're on the agenda for next week. Is that not a session for that? Am I correct on that?
I believe it's on planning and zoning. But
planning and zoning for that? Okay. But what both my neighbor and I have is an issue that probably is not as apparent to planning and development, which is our areas are the lowest parts of Villa Rica. And in fact, actually, sadly, the wastewater guys are gone, but they have a lift station that's just behind our property. And they're looking for zoning modifications to allow for housing to be put much closer to the property lines as part of that. And I think there needs to be a number of questions asked about what that's going to change about the topography of that area. And I have to tell you, on a given rain, if it's a substantial rain through that area, our property acts as a buffer for a host of homes in the Villa Rica area. And we can get millions of gallons of water that runs from that side of the city. Everything from the hospital to the top of North Avenue all gets funneled in. If you've been on North Avenue, you see the little bridge right there, all comes through there onto our property. That's our property. And I gave you this update on this session to really start asking some questions about what infrastructure is going to be needed to handle that water and runoff. Because what happens is if you do these variants on the zoning and you don't have them commit to some serious water infrastructure, then there are going to be dozens and dozens of homes that are set up for flooding well within reasonable rains, let alone 100-year, 500-year floods. That whole basin that they're trying to develop, which is fine, but there has to be a structure to handle the water.
All right, right, let me stop you right there.
Sure.
And we just have a strict time limit here, so I'll ask you to go ahead and
Sure.
close out. But I'm going to say a couple things while you're making your way back to your seat.
And I will say I have some videos of the floodwater during times. If you would like to get with me, I can show you.
Okay. What I'm going to say to you is that what you're talking about is very important, and the guys who you'll need to be talking to are over here in the room.
Okay.
So at some point, maybe you could get with them and get their card,
Sure.
because that kind of stuff's important. And then come to the meeting next Tuesday, the planning and zoning meeting. I appreciate you coming here tonight and sharing that and being respectful about how, because I know there's a process for it. I just want to make sure that you know there's a process and that we're following to protect you, okay? All right. Next up, we have Joe Reese. Kurt Kraft. Mr. Kraft, if you will come up, give us your name and address for the record, we'll give you 3 minutes.
I'm Kurt Kraft. I live at 2406 Ridge Lake Drive. I'm first submitting a set of open record requests. I'm glad Alicia's a little bit closer. It saves me a walk. Had to say that. I'm sorry. I am opposed to the TAD that was discussed by the previous speaker, and this is concerning the tax allocation district across from Mirror Lake and the intergovernmental agreement sent to the Carroll County by Villa Rica. If the bonds that are expected to be paid in this TAD in 10 years or less per the video that the city came up with, then why did the mayor and council submit an intergovernment agreement to Carroll County Board of Commissioners asking that the terms and conditions of the agreement be for 50 years? If the tax allocation district affects only Carroll County, there was an article that featured the mayor in Georgia Trend, and in that article, it said that the city is in the process of negotiating with the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. When I called to check up on that, they said that it was a typo. And if that was an error, then why didn't the city send out a retraction? In addition, with this article, if this project is only in Carroll County, I just find it odd that why would the mayor agree to participate in an article entitled Douglas County Huge Wins, which was about economic development in Douglas County. I also attended the most recent Carroll County Board of Commissioners meeting. The intergovernmental agreement that was submitted by to Carroll County by the city of Villa Rica was opposed by myself in public comments, and 2 commissioners voted no when the vote was taken. When the chairperson, Michelle Morgan, asked if any of the Villa Rica officials who were present wanted to make any statements after hearing the opposition, no one got up to speak in either the public comments or when the chairman was asked. I saw the mayor, the city manager, and 2 council people. This is a negotiation. I was very surprised no one even got up to make any kind of comments whatsoever. I just have a bad feeling that this is going to be another Villa Rica downtown economic development failure like Butterballs and the Renaissance Plan. Thank you for your time.
All right. So I don't have anybody else on my list. Is there anybody else who would like to speak in public comments? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comments. I, however, am going to respond on a couple of these things because I think it's important for clarity, and, you know, maybe somebody will get something from it, maybe they won't. So first point I think was made was regarding Georgia Trend and the article that really was about Douglas County. It was about development in Douglas County. But here's the point I'm going to make. Villa Rica lies in 2 counties. It lies in Carroll County and Douglas County. I'm the mayor that represents the entire city of Villa Rica. And so when this magazine contacted me about highlighting what's going on here in Villa Rica, we just happened to also be part of Douglas County. This wasn't meant to imply that any of this was in Douglas County. It was about what is happening in a city that is in Douglas County. If there was a typo about an intergovernmental agreement with some school system or the county of Douglas, that is a typo. And I don't know if we submitted some sort of a correction to that or not. I don't recall seeing that. So if that were the case, it is a typo. I was at the Carroll County Board of Commissioners meeting, And the Thursday prior to that, I presented a pretty extensive introduction to this to the board. Now, there had been a number of conversations that had gone on individually long before that particular presentation. And in that night, I talked to Michelle before the meeting, and the way she structures her meeting, it's her meeting. She says if they want to talk to you, they will ask you to come up and speak. My memory is not that she asked if anybody wanted to come up and speak for the city. I had already done that for an hour before the last Thursday, and I'd be happy to do it again. I think I might have gotten all of it, but I can't remember. I was writing as fast as I could. I've been going around working on this TAD now in earnest since about October of last year, but we've had some idea about what this might look like since April. And I've been going around trying to educate the public, and I have had very little resistance to it. And really, I think once people understand what we're doing and how this thing is planned and it being strategic growth, we're getting a lot of positive feedback for it. But I just want to make sure I clarify any misconceptions that we might have heard tonight. And if I missed something, I'll try to take it up later. I apologize because I was just trying to write as fast as I could. All right, with that, let me move on to council updates. Is there any council member who'd like to be recognized for some comments? Ms. McPherson.
Just a couple things. Number one, I would like an update on when Butterballs comes down. I will send a weekly email. I'd like to see what the timetable is on that. And also, the guys are already gone, but I was going to say Mike Rowe would have been so proud of these dirty jobs people because we underestimate what an impact they have on our life till something goes wrong, and they're out there sometimes fixing pipes in the middle of the night and stuff at the plant, and nobody sees it. So just kudos to them. Also would like to give kudos to the Villa Rica Area Historical Society. If you have not been over for any of the special events, I don't think they've had a lot of public events, is what they have done so far with the historic Wick's Tavern on West Wilson Street over here. Originally, it was moved from Hickstown, the original Villa Rica, before they rolled it down here when the railroad came through. And it's just amazing what they have done so far. This is a volunteer organization. It's not connected to the city. Also would like to give kudos to Shannon Gordon and what she's done with the farmers market so far that started on Monday. There's also some crafters there. All the fruits and vegetables aren't in yet. It's still a little early in the season. There's fresh farm eggs, there's fresh meat from one of the farmers. It is worth coming down. There's a few food trucks, so you want to swing by on Monday, but has done a really nice job and put a lot of work into that. And lastly, I did an inquiry on how much money we have left in the budget on traffic calming. Now, originally when I had that put in the budget about 5 years ago, it had to do with mainly, I think our thinking was speed bumps, speed humps. Not speed bumps, those are in parking lots. Speed humps or speed tables, which are kind of those gradual lift areas. There is money remaining there. I will be, just a heads up to staff, I will be looking for you to either make suggestions for not just those, but I believe it would also be useful for those strobe light crossing areas that we need. We have $20,000 left in that budget. I believe that's the right amount. And so I'm going to be looking to you for that, or if you don't want to propose that, I'm sure amongst us up here we can come up with some good places for those things to go in this year, so that money doesn't roll over unused, because we definitely have an opportunity for it. And Mr. Crawford, you are in my ward. Let's make sure we connect. You're over there. When I think of the TAD, it's kind of where the Fuquay thing is. But the TAD goes all the way over there. There's going to be stuff off of Old Town Road, and I know where Bolligerry gets real low there. So I get what you're talking about. But let's connect. You get my number. Okay.
Okay, any other council members? Okay, I'll close the council updates portion of the meeting. So earlier today, the council and the mayor pro tem met in a work session and went through the work session agenda and then created a consent agenda. These are items that there were no objections to at the time that this consent agenda was created. I'm going to read through the consent agenda, and then I'll ask if there are any objections, and if not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Item number one, consent item number one, election of GMA's District 4 officers. Consent number two, Police Department and Courthouse Generator Project. Consent number three, appointment of Melissa Hill for 2022 Main Street Advisory Board. Consent number four, Georgia Conservancy contract with Villa Rica. Consent number five, mobile covered stage for July 3rd fireworks show event. Consent number six, sound and lighting for July 3rd fireworks event. Consent number seven, July 3rd concert, Glow Band and A1A Band. Consent number eight, lift station supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA upgrade. Consent number nine, request for engineering services identified as addendum number 22 to water treatment plant improvements proposal dated March 19, 2018 by Carter and Sloop engineers for bathymetric survey of Lake Paradise and yield study for Lake Cowan, Lake Paradise, and Lake Fashion. Consent number 10, excess supplemental cyber liability insurance. Consent number 11, approval of a new 5-year agreement with GFL Environmental, Inc. Consent number 12, approval of the updated customer sanitation rates due to the new GFL contract. Consent number 13, resolution of support, rural downtown redevelopment grant application and 20% match commitment. Consent number 14, authorization of agreement for Twin Oaks 2 punch list work through RDGJE, Inc. And consent number 15, renew the lease of the old library to Southeast Trans for 6 months. Are there any objections to these items? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Move to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda and a second from Ms. Marchman. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right. Let's move on to tab B, governing body. This is, Council, you've had an opportunity to review the council meeting minutes of April the 12th, 2022, and to review the special called council meeting minutes of April 25th, 2022. Are there any corrections or objections to any of these minutes? All right, I will entertain a motion to adopt to approve the minutes for these two meetings. All right, I have a motion to approve the minutes for the council meeting of April the 12th, 2022, and the special called meeting of April the 25th, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. McPherson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Okay, let's move into tab C, community development. Is that going to be Mr. Jarvis? The first item, I guess, will be Nairi and David, right? So we're going to take up C1 and D1. So, Ms. Nairi, if you'll come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. Will you start off, or you want me to?
I'll be glad to.
Okay.
This is application for alcohol catering permit. It's changed a little bit from what you looked at this morning, which was designated as an application to get a pouring license for distilled spirits. That's not really what they needed. They needed to get the catering permit so that they can fulfill the license agreement that comes up next. They are in good standing with the city. They do have a current permit which allows them to sell beer and wine, and therefore they are eligible to get an alcohol catering permit.
Okay. This item does require public hearing, but before we do that, are there any questions from council to either David or Nairi? All right, hearing none, I will open it up for a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against this application? Okay, so I'll close the public hearing. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Melissa? Council, does anyone have any questions for the applicant? All right. Okay,
Yeah,
Ms.
I
McPherson.
actually may have one for David, because remember, we've changed this since
Right.
this morning. So this relates now only to catering, not what's being served right there on the premises? Is that what I'm understanding, the new cover sheet?
That's correct. Their license as it exists right now is not changing at
Okay.
all. All they're getting is the add-on catering permit, which
Got it.
allows them to serve it someplace else.
Right, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, if not, I will entertain a motion.
I have a motion.
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
move to
Carter.
approve the applicant's request to include a designation of alcohol catering permit to their current alcohol permit license pursuant to Article 11 of the City of Villa Rica ordinance.
Second.
All right, so I have a motion to approve the applicant's request to include a designation of alcohol catering permit to their current alcohol permit license pursuant to Article 11 of the City of Villa Rica ordinance. And I have a second from Ms. McPherson. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? That will carry 4-1. Okay, let's take up D1. This is the 2022 alcohol license agreement with Uncorked on Main, 2022 summer concert series at the Mill Amphitheater. Let's call up Miss Chumley. Oh, she's already there.
Trying to get my steps in, Mayor.
There you go.
Yes,
Go
so
ahead.
thank you for your approval of that. And with that, Villa Rica Main Street would like to enter into a partnership with Uncorked on Main in providing beer and wine for all alcohol-approved events at the Mill Amphitheater. Those events would be Summer Concert number 1, Saturday, June 4, Summer Concert number 2, Saturday, July 9, Summer Concert number 3, Saturday, August 6, and our Gold Rush Summer Concert, which is Friday, September the 9th. They were able to serve via a special event permit for our West Georgia Jazz Festival, and it went very well. A lot of success there, and we'd like to continue that partnership, Mayor, for the remainder of our events this year.
That sounds great. Okay, council, do you have any questions for Janet? Anybody?
My only question,
All right,
I just,
Mr.
in the background here, Janet, it says that Olive Tree, we worked with Olive Tree in the past for this, but they wish to take a year off. Is
That
that?
is correct. That was a request, so I reached out to Uncorked.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else? All right. If not, I will entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the license agreements with Uncorked on Main to be used for the purpose of providing beer and wine sales at the June 4th, July 9th, August 6th, and September 9th summer concert series at the Mill Amphitheater.
All right. I have a motion that we approve the license agreements with Uncorked on Main to be used for the purpose of providing beer and wine sales at the June 4, July 9, August 6, and September 9 summer concert series at the Mill Amphitheater. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Momtahan. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? That motion will carry 4-1. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to C2. Is this going to be Ron? All right, introduction of section 8.27, supplementary regulations for liquor stores, package stores, and liquor outlets, and amendment of section 13.01, which is the definitions, and a public hearing. So this item will have a public hearing. Let me get you to go ahead and introduce it, Ron.
Yes, sir. Good evening, council members, mayor, and members of the public. This ordinance for section 8.27 would be in addition to our supplementary regulations of the zoning ordinance, specifically for liquor stores and liquor outlets, which is in tandem with our previously, at the last meeting, approved alcohol beverage ordinance revisions. So the Planning Commission took a look at this as well. This was a recommendation for approval, 5-0. Across the board there. So I have two motions here before us. One is to establish the supplementary regulations, and the other is to amend section 13.01, which is the definition section of the ordinance, so we can have a definition for what a package store is.
All right, is this all contained in one in one motion?
Nope.
No,
Okay, so
there's
this
two
is broken into
motions.
two pieces? All right, I don't have it pulled up right here. All right, let me start with council. Does anybody have any questions for Ron? All right, if there are no questions, I need to do a public hearing on this. So let me do that. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against these new supplementary regulations? All right, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Let me open this item up and see what it looks like.
There's two motions to it.
Two of them inside of it. Okay. All right. Let's take these one at a time. Does anybody have a motion?
Yeah, I have a motion to approve new supplemental regulations for liquor stores, package stores, and liquor outlets within section 8.27 as submitted by staff and attached here too.
Okay, I have a motion to approve new supplementary regulations for liquor stores, package stores, and liquor outlets within section 8.27 as submitted by staff and attached here too. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second from Ms. McPherson. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, all opposed? All right, that motion will carry 4-1. Is there another motion?
Yes. I
Mr.
move
Carter.
to approve an amendment to section 13.01 definitions to include a definition for package store as submitted by staff attached here too.
All right, I have a motion to approve an amendment to section 13.01 definitions to include a definition for package store as submitted by staff attached here too. Is there a second? All right.
Second.
I have a second from Ms. McPherson. Nobody's really racing tonight. Notice that? I have a second from Ms. McPherson. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? All right, that motion will carry 4-1. All right, let's move on to, do you have the next one too, Ron? All right.
Yes, sir.
This is C3, Amendment to Section 9.03, Multifamily and Single-Family Attached Design Standards. This item will also have a public hearing. Go ahead, Ron.
Yes. So this item is to try to clarify some of the different the different language that we do have in our ordinances, design guidelines and standards, specifically for townhome developments. As we know, our townhome development subsection and our apartments subsection are all in one for design standards. So we took a look at the ordinance, took a look at Table 4.4, which is the residential lot standards section, commonly called our bulk regulation section, and we are proposing a width change from 24 to 26 feet for townhome units. In addition to the designs, a host of different design standard changes that are located in your packets that you had time to take a look at. But it's driveway depth, different fenestrations, 2-car garages as a minimum for all townhome developments, which would have a 16-foot minimum width for garage doors. And in addition to making front-facing garage doors a possibility, which currently it's not. It's all rear-facing products are the only thing that's required, or only thing that's allowed. So this is to try to clarify some of that and to allow for the front-facing garage doors as well in the zones or in the applicable SFA zone.
Okay, so take just a moment to break down the two parts to this. So you've got, a first motion, and then you've got a second motion. Tell me the specifics about what would be agreed to in one and what would be agreed to in two.
Yes, and if you could just scroll that down just a little. There you go. Okay, so the first one is specifically the design standards. So that would include the additional fenestrations and entryway requirements, the 16-foot minimum garage door width, the 2-car garages, and the driveway depth requirement of at least 35 feet. So that takes care of the first one, and the second one is specific only to the width of the townhome units from 24 to 26.
Okay, all right, good. I wanted that clarification. All right, before does this have a public hearing? Yeah. So before we get to that, let me see if council has any questions for Ron. Okay, so Ms. McCoy, you this morning, very good, love it.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Getting that stuff. Oh, that's not really what I meant. That's not really.
Okay. Took care of the business.
And for those of you who don't know, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem here ran his first work session meeting this morning, and he's been sort of ragging me about how well he did today. So I have not made a commitment to let him do it again. I'll try to make sure I show up. But I had court this morning. So, okay, well, good. I'm glad y'all got that out of the way. Let me do a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against these amendments, either of these two proposed amendments? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and it looks to me like I'm just ready for a motion.
I make a motion
All right,
to
Mr. Montahan.
approve the proposed amendment to section 9.03 of the City of Villa Rica zoning ordinance as attached here too.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to approve the proposed amendment to section 9.03 of the City of Villa Rica zoning ordinance as attached here too. And I have a second from Mr. Carter. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Is there another motion?
I move to approve the proposed amendment to table 4.4 of the City of Villa Rica zoning ordinance as attached here too.
All right, I have a motion to approve the proposed amendment to table 4.4 of the City of Villa Rica zoning ordinance as attached here too, and a second from Mr. Carter. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, that is also unanimous. Doing good, Ron. Not you, Matt. Okay. C4. New ordinance to establish regulations for 5G wireless antennas. This item will also have a public hearing. Ron, go ahead.
Yes, so we are attempting here to try to put together standards for 5G wireless antennas and their installation within the city limits. So this is actually the Chapter 22, Article 7 that you had in your packets here that's being proposed tonight is based off of the model ordinance by GMA and the state. So we just really filled in information as it was applicable to the city of Villa Rica. The Planning Commission did take a look at it as well, and they recommended approval 5-0.
5-0, okay. All right, council, any questions? Wow. Same thing, same answer, same. All right, let's do a public hearing on this. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against this new ordinance establishing regulations for 5G wireless? All right, seeing nobody, I'll close the public hearing on that, and I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the proposed ordinance to regulate 5G antenna installations as presented by staff and attached here too.
All right, I have a motion to approve the proposed ordinance to regulate 5G antenna installations as presented by staff and attached here too. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second from Ms. McPherson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Okay, let me see where we're at now. Okay, C5 VA-06-22, Take 5 oil change sign variance. There'll also be a public hearing on this item. Ron, go ahead.
Yes, application VA-06-22 is for Take 5 oil change. They're looking to install 4 additional signs onto the building, more than the ones that we already have. So they have one wall sign in the front of the building now. And they have several, banner signs and things of that nature, some directional signs out there, and a pylon sign. So they're looking to do all 4 as wall signs, and there would be on every face of the building, one on each face of the building. So staff is actually recommending denial for all of these additional wall signs.
Okay, let me pull this item up. Let me first ask if there are any questions from council.
I have a question.
All right, Mr. Montahan.
Ron, so on the rear wall sign, I see it, you recommended denial, but I'm not really understanding the rationale discusses a larger building, so I'm just trying to make sure I understand that correctly. What do you?
I see what you're saying here. It looks like some of what I used as a base kind of came through here. I didn't remove that, so I apologize, but I can give you some additional background on that. So with the rear wall signs particularly, we approved a number of directional signs on the property that very much, as in staff's opinion, does adequately brand the business, and where you can actually see from quite far away within the parking lot of the shopping center. You could see very well it's a Take 5 oil change facility. There's no doubt about it. Just by the colors and branding and all of that, and it's large enough, and it does meet our ordinance's regulations. So we didn't want to overdo it on the rear of a building.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make a note here for the future, because this is, so I don't have a problem with doing all these in one motion, but I do need you to give me some more detail in each of these to identify what is happening in each of these motions, so that we know what each one of them are, like you just did a few minutes ago on the previous item, because otherwise we have to create a separate item for each one of them so that the pertinent information that differentiates these is recognized by not just me, but I mean everybody up here and the public. I've already been through them, so I have an idea, but if you're just hearing us read this off, you have no idea what we're talking about necessarily on these motions. All right, is there any other questions for Ron? All right, if there's no other questions, let me do a public hearing. Is there anybody here who would like to speak for or against these sign variances?
Do you want to see the applicants here?
Hold on.
Sorry.
Is the applicant here?
Yes, we're representing.
Would you like to come up and speak?
Yes, sir.
All right, come on up.
Thank you, Council, Mayor. We're representative for Signs Unlimited out of Jackson, Georgia. The name of our company is Southern Signs and Lighting Maintenance. We do all the Take 5 oil changes for Southern Signs Unlimited, as well as their car wash, Take 5. I have pictures with me. The franchise, when you buy into the franchise, that's one of the things that sells it. So we do have an entrance and an exit. On the front of the building, it says oil change, stay in your car. On the back of the building, it says stay in your car. That is the entrance coming in from the back. That we wanting to put that up. I understand there's a lot of signage out there that we did install, but they're asking for approval at least on the back where it says stay in your car, like we do at the other stores.
Okay, all right, so the images that you have on your phone, do we have them?
No, sir, I'm sorry, we showed up late due to traffic from Jackson.
Okay.
You're right.
I believe we had some renderings,
We do
though.
have some rendering.
Attachment number 3, if I
Are
recall.
they in here, Ron? Is there something in here? Okay. Let me
Yeah,
look.
attachment number 3.
It's called renderings? Okay, let me take a look at this.
So this is the front of the building, the exit, actually. You'll have the oil change, stay in your car with the Take 5 oil change and your 4-checker pans. The can and the stay in your car oil change is illuminated. That is the only thing that'll be on the back of that building, stay in your car. The other signs, I'm not real sure what, okay, the cans and the Starburst. That's just part of their franchise, and they're just asking for some approval, a little bit of lenience. Because they will be, if there's not a car wash here, there will be bringing a car wash if y'all approve them.
Okay. All right, council, do you have any questions for the applicant? All right.
Well, my only question
Mr.
was,
Carter.
why was this not asked for when they built the building in the beginning?
I do not have the correct answer for that. I was not part of the planning on this. We are just a subcontractor that goes out all over the state of Georgia and does their work.
So you're not actually the applicant, you're
No,
here.
we're a representative
You
for
are a
that.
contractor for the applicant
We
because
are
you do these
representative
signs.
out of North Carolina for
Is
them.
the applicant here, Ron? No. Okay. All
Now, I'm new to this, so I may have messed up everything.
No, well, no,
So y'all bear with me here.
You
I'm going way out in the sticks now.
you haven't, no, you haven't messed up anything. I've just, you can understand that it might be helpful if the applicant were here. It might also be helpful if these are the franchise requirements for this to be part of the process up front,
Absolutely.
getting this approved.
Yes, sir.
Because at this stage, and there's nobody here really to make the case for why that didn't happen or what we might consider over and
Yes, sir.
above that. And on top of that, I've got staff recommending denial here, so.
Well, let me ask you this. Could we table this to I can get further information on this, I'll just kind of throw it out here.
I mean, it's possible. Just give us a few minutes to talk about it a little
Thank
bit,
you, sir.
okay? All right, thank you. All right, Ron, come on
If
up.
I could just add, I think I can answer that question. The applicant did apply for these signs through our regular administrative process for just like any other sign permit. We denied those signs because they did not meet the ordinance, particularly this section that they're applying for relief from. So they are following the ordinance as far as going through the process, the right and channels to get an appeal to our decision.
At what stage did you deny them, or was it administratively denied?
It was administratively denied. I believe it was in February of this year.
At what stage in their building process, though, or in their application, or because I don't even remember when that building went up. I know it went up quick.
It was certainly before they opened. It had to be weeks beforehand, but I think the building was under construction at that time.
And you had notified them that they had been denied, and so I guess at that point they decided they were going to apply for a variance.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, council, you have any questions for Ron?
I don't know if it's a
Ms.
question
McPherson?
so much. I was leaning with denial on this. Being business friendly, I think it's important that businesses have signage so you can find them, and also those of us that are looking for it. Yet at the same time, there's a reason we have these ordinances, so it's not. You know what I mean? You get off the exit and it's just signs everywhere. It really becomes very cluttered. So if there's a safety issue involved, and I guess they could claim that with stay in your car, that it tells you on both sides. I will say my husband has used the fine business. It went well. He figured out to stay in the car with whatever you got up right now. But I just have a little bit of issue with putting signs everywhere, all over the building. If everybody did that over there, that's why we have this ordinance. I think the safety issue could be something to think about.
And Ron,
Mr. Montaigne, go ahead.
and also, don't they have banners out there which are not supposed to be out there?
Yes, there's banners that have been installed, at least 3 that I've seen on the front of the building. I haven't seen the rear, if there's any banners out there, but we have not approved any banners for the property.
Yeah, I think they do have banners. I mean, as of Thursday or Friday of last week,
I saw them
I
Friday.
saw on the back side, though, the side that's facing the Bank of America ATM. Yeah.
So then there's more than 3.
Have they
So
been
would-
notified?
So would that fall under our temporary sign, those banners? I guess they fall under temporary signs.
Banners are temporary signs, but they would just have to meet the ordinance's size requirement and location.
And I'm assuming that somebody is working on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, let me say that I don't know if tabling this would change whatever's going to happen here tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. This I am really generally accommodating as much as I can be. I mean, I don't do this all by myself. But I have to tell you, this particular business knew up front that they were going to ask for these signs on the front, on the back, and on the side. And if they were told up front that they weren't going to get them, I don't know how they could be particularly surprised that there might be a question at this stage. So I don't have a problem if somebody wants to try to table this. I just don't know that anything's going to change from whatever happens here tonight. I don't even know what's going to happen, but it doesn't look real exciting to me. Does anybody want to make a motion to table it? And if not, I will take up motion number 1.
I'm not going to make a motion to table it, but I will move to deny the request of a wall sign on the front of the building facing Highway 61 as submitted by Signs Unlimited LLC.
Okay, I have a motion to deny the request for a wall sign on the front of the building facing Highway 61 as submitted by Signs Unlimited LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second from Ms. McPherson. Is there any further discussion?
I do have a
All right, Mr.
discussion. Okay. Can maybe one member of staff can refresh my memory. If we vote to deny a variance, is there a prohibition on when they could reapply or if they could reapply?
There's not a prohibition against it, but they would naturally have to change their application from what it is today. They could apply for the same thing, but they can't apply for the same. It would be kind of pointless for them to come back with the same signs, right, with the same sizes and same look of it. So, but otherwise they can do that, yes.
Okay.
Let me just ask, okay, David, I'm on, you got that Captain Hook look. So you want to clarify
I was
just for a moment?
grimacing
I
a
mean,
little bit.
not, I just, let me just
Okay,
let
I
him
got you.
clarify, okay?
Okay.
It's clear that on a denied rezoning, you can't reapply for, I don't remember if our ordinance is 6 months or a year. Whether or not that's true on a variance, I think is probably true, but I'm not positive. I mean, the Zoning Procedures Act does provide that if something's denied, that there is a prohibition. And I'm thinking it's for a year under our ordinance.
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, so, to what you're thinking here, I don't know that, I sort of wonder if there's something the applicant might present that might make someone reconsider, but I just don't know. And that's not the motion before us unless somebody wants to modify it. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of denial? All right, that is unanimous. I'll take up motion number 2. Is there,
Okay,
Mr.
number
Carter.
2, I move to deny the request for wall sign on the rear of the building facing the Villa Rica Crossing Shopping Center parking lot as submitted by Signs Unlimited LLC.
all right, I have a motion to deny the request for a wall sign on the rear of the building facing the Villa Rica Crossing Shopping Center parking lot as submitted by Signs Unlimited LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Moptahan. Is there any discussion? All in favor of denial? All opposed? All right, that denial will carry 4-1. All right, I will entertain motion number 3.
Okay,
Mr. Carter.
I move to deny the request for 2 wall signs on either side of the building as submitted by Signs Unlimited LLC.
All right, I have a motion to deny the request for 2 wall signs on either side of the building as submitted by Signs Unlimited LLC. Is there any discussion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. McPherson. All in favor of denial? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and take up C6, VA-07-22, RBE Holdings, LLC of Lithia Springs, Georgia. This is a variance request from Table 7.6, Section 7.032, Roman numeral 7. There'll also be a public hearing on this item. Ron.
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant in this case, RBE Holdings LLC, is requesting for their driveway on this parcel to be located 242 feet to the nearest intersection, which is at Florence Circle. Our ordinance requires 600 feet on these major arterial roads, such as 78 and Highway 61. The property's frontage is less than 600 feet, so that can't be accomplished no matter what. So in order for this property to be utilized for commercial purposes, this is a C1 zoned property, there would need to be some form of relief from the 600 feet. So this applicant is proposing a new headquarters for Wayfield Foods, and they're looking to put the driveway 242 feet to Florence Circle. So they're requesting relief.
Okay, let me take a look at this for a second. So you are recommending approval? Is the staff recommendation approval on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's 242-foot entrance from Florence Circle, from the intersection of Florence Circle and Highway 78.
That's
okay. Before I do a public hearing and hear from the applicant, the council, do you have any questions for Ron?
I have a question.
Mr. Moptan.
So, Ron, I noticed this is office, 8,760 square feet, and it looks like 8,585 square feet of warehouse. So are they going to do trucks? Is there going to be trucks, ingress, egress here?
The applicant has indicated that there would be some truck traffic on the site, so that's why they had serious reservations about putting the driveway on Florence Circle.
Okay.
They tried to make that work, and it just wouldn't happen. But the office is also going to be paired with a smaller warehouse space in the rear, which would have like signs and different marketing type of materials. So there wouldn't be any like food or anything like that going in and out of the site. It would just strictly be materials for the business.
Okay, so yeah, that helps clarify, because my next question was, why can't they do it off Florence Circle? But So do we know, so since it's going to be marketing materials and signs, it's not going to be food, which I presume that's what it was going to be, but apparently not. I guess the trucks might be like box trucks, it's not necessarily semi-trucks.
That's what I
Okay.
have come to understand, yes.
Okay, anybody else? All right, let's have the applicant come up. Sir, give us your name and address for the record, and we'll hear from you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Bobby Bullard, and I'm 3790 Cannonwall Drive, Snellville, Georgia. And we're working on the site plans for the project, and we submitted it, and this issue came up. And like Ron said, we we only have a total of 542 feet of frontage, so we really don't have a choice but to ask for a variance. The going through the Florence Circle seemed like it would be extremely intrusive to Florence Circle, and that road is only 12 feet wide, and it seems to be one way. And so, again, due to the fact that we don't have 600 feet, it's impossible without the variance.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Bullard? Anybody?
Just that I'll
All right,
be
Miss-
happy to see that dilapidated house disappear. We have a few things down on that end of 78 that will be nice to see go away.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. I'm going to do a public hearing now. Let's see if there is anyone here, we haven't had any takers all night, who would like to speak for or against this variance request. All right. Would you like to speak?
Just wondered if they had, do they have a map or something that would.
Do you have anything in the file that you can show? Put up on the,
It's in the-
well, they can put it up on the screen, though.
Page 3.
That's a good
It wasn't in the, it's in the work session, but it's not in the,
Attachment number 2.
You sure you don't want to be on TV? You can come right over there. You sure? Absolutely. You can hand it.
oh, Lisa, in the work
We'll try to
session
put it on the screen
agenda,
if we
there was
can.
in the work session agenda, there was a plat or a sketch, concept plan.
I take for granted thinking it's back there behind me. Is it there now? All right, there you go. It's up on the screen. All right, anybody else want to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing for this item. I'm going to get y'all to whisper just a little bit. I got sensitive hearing. All right. So is there any questions for Ron at this stage?
I have a question.
All right, Ms. McCoy.
So basically, they're wanting to move, if it's a 542-foot frontage of the lot, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and they're wanting to move it 242 feet from Florence Circle on Highway 78.
Yes.
That means, it's going to be 300, there's like really just 300 feet between that and the next property. And what is the I know east-west is that the east-west property next to it, or does someone have?
Just next to it is the Shell gas station, but the east-west property wraps around the back section
Okay.
of that, yeah.
So it's gonna be basically like 300 feet from the Shell gas station.
Right,
Is where it's
yeah.
going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not gonna be problematic.
Well, our city engineer is here. I did talk to him about the intersection distances, and he did say that at least from the Florence Circle side to the driveway, that 242-foot distance is beyond what is ultimately needed for to alleviate site triangles and things of that nature. But I didn't ask him about the other direction between the Shell and the driveway. So I might have to defer to him and his engineering expertise for that.
All right, Bob, you want to come up and just maybe clarify that a little bit?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I have no idea where the 600-foot regulation came in the zoning ordinance. We don't have a parcel probably in this whole town that can meet that.
I was curious. That's a lot.
What you look at on entrances is your vertical and horizontal sight distance. And according to Mr. Buller's design, they've got 1,000 feet east and 1,000 feet west. And Florence Circle is a substandard city street. It's not much more than a driveway that's got asphalt on it. The development regulations would allow him to go down to at least 50 feet if he's got sight distance met. And in this case, he does.
Okay. So we need to probably take a look at this regulation.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
does that clarify that for you?
Bobby,
Ms.
real
McCoy?
quick, I'm
All
sorry.
right, Mr. Montan.
So what's the distance from this driveway to, I guess, where the, like, roundabout is, the proposed traffic circle for that GDOT's supposed to be installing?
It's probably
You know?
1,000 feet.
Okay.
Plenty of
Yeah,
space.
plenty.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Well, I mean, one thing I'll say is almost anything that gets done over there will be an improvement. And I like getting it. Bobby's exactly right. That's probably one of the worst roads in the city that actually has asphalt on it. We have some that just look like alligator tails. Okay, so let's see. I did the public hearing. I've asked questions of Ron. All right, I'll take a motion.
All
Somebody
right.
got a motion?
I got one.
All right, go.
I move to approve the variance request to place the driveway entrance 242 feet from the Florence Circle intersection along Highway 78 as shown on the submitted variance exhibit.
All right, I have a
Second.
motion to approve the variance request to place the driveway entrance at 242 feet from the Florence Circle intersection along Highway 78 as shown on the submitted variance exhibit. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Montan. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. There you go. You did good. Oh, well, good. See, it does help to go ahead and hand out. All right, just for future reference, don't hand out anything without asking me, which he did. Thank you. Okay, Ron,
you.
does that wrap you up?
It does. Thank you,
All right.
Mayor and Council.
You excited to get on out of here, and I don't blame you. There's another grand exodus of people leaving. All right, let's get on with it. Is Miss Hallman here or no? Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. She's got what? Okay, well, very good. We appreciate being able to be at these things with our kids. All right, E1, under finance. This is the fiscal year 2022 budget amendments, numbers 187 through 292. We introduced these at a special called meeting last week, and then these were presented in more detail to the Finance Committee, which consists of Mr. Carter, Mr. Montahan, and Ms. McCoy. And then we had these available for review at the work session earlier today, but I don't think they got into that, right? Y'all didn't get into that one. Is that one of the ones y'all left off?
Yes.
All right, and so I will ask Miss Sarah to go ahead and introduce this for us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, so in the fall, Tom spoke to the council about a reorganization of various departments, including Public Works and Community Development. It actually impacted more. I think the conversation started when we were looking for the best places to utilize and grow some of our staff. You know, we've added some really great folks to our staff. Plus, you heard an example of someone, Ethan Joseph Waits. You heard about him earlier this afternoon or this evening. Finding a place for him to continue to grow. This will be his third department, as Bobby referenced earlier. So, but it wasn't just shifting people around. The reorg had a ripple effect that required office changes, actually physically moving people to different buildings. And as you know, we've kind of outgrown some of our city buildings, so we're spread across the city now. Also required purchase of additional supplies and equipment. And then after Jennifer had put together that reorg budget amendment, Tom also asked the departments to provide a list of other items that might be needed through the end of this fiscal year. And that's what we've discussed the past two meetings, as the mayor referred to.
Okay, let me do this. I'm going to give Tom an opportunity to talk about these. Didn't you tell me earlier today you want to talk about this? So let me let you do that before we get into any council questions. And then we'll try to go from there.
So the first thing I think that's important in understanding how we got to this situation is last summer, we did not have any confidence in projecting revenue above the previous year. So you had the COVID year, then you had the second year, and last summer, if you had bet me that sales tax was going to go up 20%, I'd have lost some money because I wasn't thinking that. I didn't have any confidence in what permits were going to do. We had a lot of projects that were looking, but nothing that was at the point of actually paying us permit fees. And so we presented a really flat budget compared to the year before. Contradictory to that is we also wanted to do our annual reorgs. And I don't know how many times we've done that, but every October we've tried to reorg some to better align the people with the jobs. And this year in particular, I was concerned that we start making steps toward what we're going to do when Bobby leaves, because Bobby is still over so many functions that matter: the garage, grounds, streets, solid waste, forgetting what he does, which is the sign shop now and plan review, which is I'm not looking forward to when he leaves one day. So we've got some good young guys, and they've all functioned in an area long enough to where doing it more is not going to help them, right? Nick had run the garage as long as he needed to run the garage. Ethan had run grounds with Mark. You got the idea. So I wanted to move those guys around because somewhere out of all this, we're going to have a new public works leadership. Charlie's going to retire. Bobby's going to retire. And so we are moving people around. We also had a facility problem. So during COVID, we painted and carpeted and did all that stuff in City Hall, but didn't make it any bigger. And we needed to do something. And as you heard this morning, Southeast Trans didn't cooperate, right? They didn't do a 1-year lease and then leave, or even a 1-year lease with a 1-year renewal and leave. They did 2 years and then asked for 6 more months. So when we saw that that's where we were heading, a big group of people down to the Civic Center. So that's sort of the background to how we budgeted the way we did. When we're not busy in inspections, those guys are doing construction. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So Adam and Tracy and Nick and his 2 guys, if we're not in a position where they're busy with things, more primary to their job, we're building the sign shop. We built a new office in the Avante building for community service so that we can knock that old trailer down behind PD. We've built storage in the Civic Center. We moved everybody down there and set those offices up. We built a place for Nick and his people to move in the old maintenance building of the V-Plex. We built storage on the back of that building for the parks, grounds people. I mean, on and on. That's how we're utilizing the guys. And so now we've got the 2 issues that you heard. One is just the operational part, equipment and tools and supplies and all that to handle the reorg. But the other part of this is if we don't keep putting money in the budget, then I'm going to have some really good people with nothing to do, because if I can't, buy $15 2x4s, then they're not going to work, right? And Tracy and Adam and those guys are really good. If you haven't seen the sign shop or you haven't seen the community service, the guys build some really good stuff. And so I want them to keep going. So that's part of this. And then the other side of it, we don't talk. Stormwater has got some real issues, and we need to be putting money into that. And then the part that you do know too well is Pete and his guys are burning through money like we're printing it. but we are fixing things at a rate that we have not seen since I've been here. We have a much better handle on what the problems are. Hiring Eric to run the sewer plant was one of the best things we've done. He had a great maintenance background. We even, I don't know, what's the plant, 12 years old now? We have systems that are failing at the plant because they've not been maintained well. So, I mean, every week I'm approving the purchase of replacement pumps or drives. In addition to the repair stuff, I've told y'all that we've been buying things that we're not ready to use yet because of the bad lead times. We actually have the north plant running good right now. I've never said that to y'all in the whole time I've been here, but the north plant's running good. And it's running better and better and better every month. We're fixing the systems and bringing them either, in some, I don't even want to say this, but I mean, in some cases, some of that stuff has never worked the whole time we've had the plant because we didn't, whatever, know how, I don't know, just whatever. So, tons of money. And then, I'm assuming you're sick of this too. Carter and Sloop, lots of money. Brennan, lots of money. Paul Simonton, lots of money. Judd Turner, who am I leaving? Bob McGinnis. I mean, all these guys that we're using to supplement our staff are $150 an hour or worse. Don't want to talk about Dan McRae. Okay, I mean, and we didn't envision all of that to any, specific degree. So here you go. I mean, we can either keep on plugging on all this stuff and trying to figure out water independence and making sure the plants are running and trying to get the lift stations up to speed so that the guys don't have to come in at 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning and spend, all night babysitting the pump. So we either do the money or not. The good news, one good news out of all that is we got the money, right? We've done a great job. We've raised rates. We've managed the budget every year. We've put money into fund balance, which if we were a business would be retained earnings, right? We've built that up. We have money that we can spend on ourselves for the first, not for the first time. It's been growing ever since I got here. But y'all have made decisions that have put us in a position where we can fix things. And I'm hoping that eventually we put ourselves in a position where we can build a city administrative complex, right? But you're talking about millions of dollars, and if we chip away, we put 500,000 or $1 million a year in fund balance in the general fund every year, we get there eventually, and then we don't have a big debt load, to go along with the sewer plant. So, questions? that's.
Yeah, I appreciate you running through that. That was really informative. So, council, you've all had an opportunity to look at this, and you've had it now for more than a week, and we've highlighted it in this room a few times. Does anyone have any specific questions that you would like to kind of bring up and maybe find out why that's here now as opposed to maybe waiting on the next budget cycle? Because I think it's fair to ask that question on any items that you have concerns on. I can tell you when they brought this to me 2 weeks ago, or the first expression across my face was I just leaned back and said, "What are y'all doing to me? You are about to kill me." So it's not like we just got to this room overnight and somebody just said, "Yeah, okay, fine, go spend the money." We had to go through it, and they had to convince me that this really is a process where we didn't avoid it in the last budget because we didn't want to face it. We did it because we didn't think that we even had the revenues to move in this direction to do some of these things. So that's been the argument. I'm buying that argument, but I'm certainly open to hearing from anybody here who has something that they want to sort of get a little more background on. Anybody?
Just know we saved our questions. You go ahead and start, Danny, because you're ready.
Yeah, I'll
But
start
we
with-
saved them for tonight, so we wouldn't do it twice.
Excellent. Okay, Mr. Carter, you want to start?
Okay, I'll give it the first shot. We discussed this, like I say, it was handed out whenever.
Week ago.
Week ago. And we discussed this in our financial meeting Monday. And the only thing, there are some items on here that definitely Jennifer asked to be approved because they've already been spent anyways. Like the city manager approved items, $116,278 worth. The water and sewer, $460,600. There's intergovernmental transfers, which amounts to a wash of zero. So she asked those be approved, plus the police salary and bonus be approved. That needs to be approved. The only thing we were questioning, and there were some questions on, was some of these new requests. In particular, the break room. Why would we need that if we're not going to? It's going to be a temporary thing. There were some of those questions came up, so we had suggested that they include those items in the new budget when we negotiate the new budget, and just approve the ones you absolutely need.
So, Mr. Carter, so under community development, 7,400, the new break room at the Civic Center, the $5,000 over there, that is one that you're asking about right now?
That was only one of them.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that one came to mind.
Yeah, because I think you and I may have had some discussion about under building maintenance, 4,900. All of the new requests, you had maybe some concerns with those. Did that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, so Tom, could you talk a little bit about those new requests under building maintenance, 4,900, and then the one over at the Civic Center about?
Go up to the top.
And it goes on to the next page too. There's a lot of new requests on page 2.
On page 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay,
3.
Under streets, but you're not talking about the streets one, I hope.
2 and 3. Yeah, that's where your new requests all show up. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, but, okay, you want to talk about the streets one too? Most of this is tree cutting, maintenance and repair on vehicles, the sign shop, replantation, Berkeley Park sidewalks, street lights.
Yeah, they're asking, as I understand it, they're asking for a boost in what was in the budget. They want it to be increased.
Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit, Tom? You want to let Sarah talk about it?
Or Tracy or Bobby or.
That's fine. Just
Tracy
one
can
of them.
speak to building maintenance. So, but before he speaks, I just want to point out, we used to have building and fleet maintenance together.
Okay.
Nick was the manager over both of those. They were one department in our current fiscal year budget. Those have been physically separated. Nick's in a different area. Charlie is managing the fleet. So those have been physically separated. And as Jennifer was explaining at one of the last meetings, they've had to purchase some additional supplies and equipment because they are now in 2 physically separate areas. And some of this stuff is custodial. We brought custodial back in-house a couple years ago, and we have an excellent team now that have ideas and are wanting to do the best things possible. So thinking outside the box as compared to what we've always done in the past. So that's why we're trying to add some of this custodial equipment. And, I mentioned the first item, changing title and promoting 2 maintenance techs. Again, this goes back to utilizing and growing our staff. We have 2 maintenance techs that have learned a lot under the tutelage of Tracy and Adam and Nick. And, this goes back to retention and growing our people. So wanting to give them a higher title and give them some more money for that. But if you want to add to that.
Yep. So, good evening, Mayor and Council.
Yes, sir.
One thing I want to talk about first is the break room. We probably did not address that properly. So this area of the break room is also going to be plan, retention, and organization for all of our open records requests and all this. So we're going to have plan bins back there to organize. It's a mess. I'm just be honest with
It's not just me.
When you get an open records request and you try to find a set of plans from 1999, you can't find them here, right? So there was a misconception of how long the retention on plans. It's the life of the building. It's not 10 years, so we're missing plans, we're missing all this, so we're wanting to, we've got stuff over in the old man cave. We're wanting to build.
All right. To be
sorry.
fair,
Yeah.
to be fair, we're all aware of the record keeping
Oh, okay.
problems from all
No,
the years.
okay.
Let's do this. Tell me, explain,
Okay. Yeah.
re-articulate for me that $5,000 for that
Right,
break room.
so we want to, in that room back there, have an area. I've got 15 staff members. They don't have nowhere to eat lunch, nowhere to put their own microwave or little refrigerator. That's part of it. But we want to build racks to put blueprints in, have them organized, all these different things. In 5,000, it's probably over what it's going to take, right?
Okay.
So yes, but
Well,
that's
then-
just part of getting organized. I
Yeah,
guess.
no, and I appreciate that, because let me tell you that one of my frustrations was this, but that's because that's what it says is for a $5,000 break room.
Right,
And what I'm
yep.
looking at as a temporary location for
Right, right,
offices
right.
in my
Ye-
mind.
yes, sir. Yes,
Because
sir.
I'm looking down the road. So I
Right.
appreciate you sharing that's a much bigger
It is. Yes, sir.
improvement there
Yes, sir.
than just a break room.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you want to hit any other items?
Just about the reorg and the moving them from to the, what is it, position for Chris and Sam.
It's a higher pay grade.
Right. So we have took and spent a lot of time investing in teaching and training them how to do carpentry skills, block laying, roofing, all these different things. And we've got two young men that are 27, 28 years old that now you can turn loose and say, we need a PD storage building built to do this, and they go. These guys hard charge every day, never complain. These guys can go out here and make $35 an hour anywhere, right? And they're making $16 an hour. And they're just top-notch, great, hard-working guys that if we don't get them up to a decent wage where they can, feed their family, we're going to lose them. And I'm 60 years old, and I've not seen this kind of character and work ethic in young men in a long time, and they're top notch. And if we don't do something, and I'm to the point where I don't want to keep training. When you've got guys that you can trust, say I need this done, and they're going to go do it. To me,
it's hard to put a
something we
price
should
on that.
reward. Yeah.
I'm following you.
That's the big things.
So
with
that's
them.
on the promotions on those two tech jobs. When you look at the custodial equipment, though, is this stuff that you feel like
Right.
you need now?
So, on the custodial equipment, we decided we hired James full-time, great. He's got great plans. He wanted to use the same supplies everywhere. It's going to save the city money over time instead of ordering this for here and this for there. And he's got the vending machines and all this things. So in the long run, it's just going to save us a ton of money, and we're wanting to implement this now, right? Well, let's get going right now with the right way to do things from here on out. And we can't fix everything from the past, but we sure can charge hard to do things right now.
Did y'all rehearse that? Because that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, and that speaks to me. I can tell you that
Yes,
for
sir.
sure. I don't like, putting Band-Aids on anything.
Right.
I've
If we
hated
can-
that
Yes, sir.
in my private life, in my business, and,
Yes,
and
sir.
here as well. So that speaks to me. All right, Mr. Carter, was there any?
Yeah, let's jump over to the big one on page 2, which is streets. That's the one that's got
Mr. Carter, I'm
270.
sorry.
Oh, Mr. Martin.
May I just ask Tracy a question real
Oh, well,
quick
he'll stay
about
around.
that? Well, I just want to ask him about the break room thing before we leave that topic, if
Oh,
possible.
well, that's fine.
Which one?
Maybe we should go page by page.
Okay.
All right.
I don't have many.
So I'm sorry.
Well, let me just
I
let
don't
Mr.
do well.
You'll let Mr.
What I'd
Carter-
like to
okay.
do is each person be able to finish what
Okay.
they need to do, and then if we come back, let somebody do it.
We
So
may go back to the exact
let's
same
let.
thing, though.
Well, and I don't
that
mind if you
okay?
want to just answer. If you want to ask the question real quick about that topic.
So here's my
Yes,
so
sir.
I understand the merit of the break room. I understand
Yes, sir.
the utility of the workers' request and keep the plans. I guess my thing is, my understanding is that
Going, or if this is gonna be the permanent home. I was looking at it at the point where we're settling in, we're doing business, and we're gung-ho, and I wanna take care of my staff. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Ms.
Yes,
McCoy.
yes, ma'am.
I was gonna say, when you described what y'all were wanting, there were gonna be like racks, and could those not be moved?
Yes,
and
that, all that could be, yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so could,
We'll build them portable, yes, ma'am.
so could, that's what I was gonna say, and you were saying the place to put like a refrigerator or microwave, could not a lot of this be moved if this is truly a temporary space?
It could, some of the big cost in this will be, doing the drywall and the drop ceiling. We're doing in about 400 square foot area of this. So that, the big part's gonna be in the actual, the walls are framed up. We're still gonna have to do a drop ceiling, paint, trim, drywall. We were planning on just painting the floor, nothing bougie, per se. So,
that's a big word for this room.
Hey,
I
just look country, right?
Let me talk just a little bit about that, because maybe you haven't seen it, maybe others have not seen it. The V-Plex has a huge section of it that is an old restaurant. It's used for storage right now. It's in pretty rundown, it's not climate controlled. The doors are in bad shape, the windows are in bad shape. So really what you're talking about is improving a section of that.
Right.
And so improving that really does still belong to us as in terms of an improvement.
Yes, sir.
And if you eventually do move the shelving and because I understand what you're saying. I mean, the plan is not, we're not talking about a new municipal complex next year or in the next 18 months
Yes, sir.
24. I think our thought though is that I don't want to, and I think what he's saying is we don't want to do Band-Aids all over the place. Just keep making these temporary offices and fixing them up but there are some basic things that you're doing here for, for quality of employment for the employees there, but you're also double, sort of making it utilitarian by putting in the storage space.
Yes, sir, and we added storage space over there for the rec department. They were having to store all their Halloween, all their different stuff up in this attic space with unsafe stairs that go straight up. So we framed in an area back there and made them a storage space and that too. So
You're using up too much spotlight.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Carter, you got another question? I'm just joking. Ms. McPherson, you got something?
Well, he's gonna go to page 2, and I'll be ready for that. If I can just add in on this one.
All right, go ahead.
I really don't want us nitpicking what you guys need now and when. All I care about is the overall picture, and you can figure it out. You guys can figure it out. When they move out of, I gotta remember where I am. I'm at the courthouse, not City Hall. When they move out of our old library, you guys will know the plan of what employees you're gonna put in there. I'm thinking you're thinking that way. They just asked for 6 months. 6 months, because there's no reason we should have employees 4 miles down that way, and then we've got the Avanti, if we can get someone real close to City Hall. So I'm just asking y'all, as you look through any of this, and I don't want to be the one who decides it, keep that in mind. Don't spend money that is going to be something that we don't need in 6 months, and we got to now spend the same money over again. That's all I care about, the big picture, and you guys figure it out.
And we'll I'm sorry, but we'll run lean. We'll make anything as lean as we need to be. I'm all about a
And
budget.
can I send my grandson to
Absolutely.
work under you and learn all the carpentry skills? Okay.
Yeah, I love teaching.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, be careful what you agree to. You could end up with
Well, I
some.
taught
No,
high
not the
school.
5-year-old, the
That
12-year-old.
lasted. I taught high school. It lasted 2 days.
I got you.
Because of the craziness. I said, "No, I'm out."
I got you. Well, let me try to get back to Mr. Carter, see if he wants to hit anything else.
Okay. Page 2, and I'm going to get on to page 2 here because this actually has the whopping big one on it. Has a lot of work to be done, a big boost in the budget of $270,000 thereabouts. And tree removals and sidewalk fixes, Berkeley Park, Reed Plantation, tree cutting for Boy Scout trim, and the Boy Scouts now are in Bremen, so I guess we're going to chase them over to Bremen and cut the trees over there. Okay. Yeah. The Boy Scouts aren't here anymore, so, there's some items on here, can we really get that much work done in the next 4 months? Because we have a budget, this budget runs out in 4 months.
Mr. Carter, on the tree cutting, we have 3 existing situations where we have dead trees that are standing on right-of-ways that need to be cut before they kill somebody. One's on Stockmar. There's like 6 or 8 dead pines on Stockmar behind Mirror Lake that are on the right-of-way. We've got one on Rockmart Road that's on a water alleyway.
Okay.
That's already dropped some limbs on the ladies' outbuilding. And there's one other one, I can't recall exactly where it is, but those are 3 that we have sitting right now that need to be cut.
I understand that. Now, are you going to be able to do all this other work all within the next 4 months?
Well, the Berkeley Park replantation, I think Mr. Barber's conceded that we're going to try to do that as winter projects.
So that's in the next budget cycle.
I got a price from our utility cut patching crew to help us do replantation, tag team it, so to speak. Their price came back at $129,000. That's for one subdivision. So we quickly discounted subbing that out to a contractor. So those are probably going to be in the next budget cycle.
That's the thing we're trying to figure out when it comes to this budget. These
Replantation,
amendments,
Berkeley Park.
how much of it do we approve now, and how much of it do we put into the next budget cycle?
And I really don't want to get into the street light thing because I get animated and I
don't want to mess with street lights either.
We've got some situations where we've got some dark areas in town that do not have any lights. And right now we're wrestling with Georgia Power on the process on how to get that done without costing us a fortune, which I think I've probably put a fortune in here, thinking that that's what it was going to cost.
It probably will with Georgia Power.
Yeah, depending on how long we want to wait on that, we've got people that are threatening us with torches and clubs now.
Well, now the things like that we can, other people are going to do and we're going to pay for, I can understand those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the work that obviously, we're trying to get done, a lot of work here, and there's a lot of money we're wanting to boost this year's budget. And I'm wondering how much of this needs to be in the next cycle.
Well, I would certainly recommend replantation of Berkeley Park. It's not going to happen before October.
Okay.
Or November. Other than we do them 5 or 6 at a time, because our crews just can't do it.
That's what I figured too. I figured it's a lot of work here unless you got a huge crew, which we don't have.
We've got on the street material item, the bins behind Avante. These are concrete bins that we're going to build to store gravel, sand, those kind of things. Right now we've got it scattered everywhere. Putting them in bins will keep the waste completely down.
Is this bins you're going to buy and bring in, or
poured in concrete?
You're going to pour some concrete bins,
yes.
Okay.
And that reflects a price quote that we've gotten on a bid already.
Design and build.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me stop for a second. Mr. Barber and I have talked about this, and I've kind of got my feelings hurt a little bit about it. And if y'all get a minute, y'all need to come to the new sign shop. We have gone crazy building signs, installing signs. We've got like 12 or 14 subdivisions already changed out. We are really proud of the product we're turning out. That's the sign shop material that's in here. We barely had enough money to get the shop built and get it equipped with machinery. And we had 2 sets of radar signs and a set of flashing pedestrian signs that were pulled out of our street line item that we weren't expecting. That's like $20,000. So this is extra sign material, blanks, vinyl, etc., to keep our shop running at the speed it's running right now. Because the plan is to retrofit the entire city with street blades. I wish you could see some of the ones that we're taking down, replacing with the new stuff. So if you get a chance, come by.
Well, let me say this about that. Y'all are doing a lot of sign work down there, because I went in there one day several weeks ago and you didn't have a whole lot on the shelves. I go back in there and they're everywhere.
Yes, sir.
But I'll tell you this, I was at the red light today in front of City Hall and Community Square, the street sign there, that's the worst one I've seen.
We haven't got to it
How
yet.
about find that one? It looks pretty rough, and
We-
it's right there at City Hall.
We can make that one tomorrow, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll come down and see, and I do recommend y'all go down and see that. There's a lot going on in that sign shop.
But it is true that some of this total here can be deferred.
So you're talking about basically, because we can't really get it done now that we've seen some of the bids. Berkeley Park and replantation, tree removal, and sidewalk fix is something that could be deferred off to the next budget.
Yeah, and
in
you
your
know,
opinion.
there's a reason why you don't want anything planted in the right of way.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother you today, but 20 years from now, it'll be a problem.
Or 15 if you go out on Connors Road.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the roots are
Because
growing.
that's pretty
Yes.
rough. Okay, that's good
That's at least
information.
$100,000 right there, so,
Yeah.
that's the problem, is knowing how much of this to approve and how much not
Yeah.
to move downstream.
All right, is that got you, Mr. Carter? All right, Ms. McPherson?
Okay, so, okay, I got the bins, answered that. The trees we've been expecting to come for a while. We've been talking about it for a good 2 years, have we not? You've got Berkeley Park, I've got Reed Plantation. Some of it is a safety issue, right, when you have sidewalks that are, in bad shape, and you've got the tree roots growing in and all. So if we can get them done, I'm all okay with funding it. I understand we are in better condition than we thought we were going to be based on your report. We didn't know what to expect, keep the budget, lean. If we can get to it, I'm all okay with, well, then let's fund it. Now, if we didn't, if we said, well, we can't get to it, so we might as well, it does make sense, put it in the next budget. But I sure hope somebody's looking over there at Connors Road in Ward 4 along that path where the roots, also major safety, bunch of trees. So I guess it's going to be like an elephant, one bite at a time. But if we don't start, so that's why I'm afraid to take away all the funding, because what if the guys can't start and get some? So I'm okay with whatever y'all decide, because these things are going to happen. They need to happen. And so that's all I need on that one. The only thing I would ask is that when you do get to Reed Plantation or whatever, please inform the HOA.
Oh,
Okay.
I talk to them once a week already.
Okay, inform the, I'll start getting the calls, what's going on, they're on the street, and I wouldn't mind knowing y'all are over there and I got the heads up, so when the calls and the emails start coming, I can say, guess what, this is what's going on, this is how long it's gonna go on, or whatever. The drainage on, this is on page 4 of 7. Temple Street drainage, we all know that needs to occur, and will that play into our timeline for making that a one-way? I know that's
Yes, ma'am. That drainage is going to have to be repaired before we do the milling and paving and
all that.
striping. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and it needs to happen, so, if y'all can get to that and do it, I'm like, fund it and get it done.
We have issues right there with it. If we get a really, really high intensity rainfall, water just about runs in the front door at
Yeah.
Uncorked and Los Cowboys.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a river. I've been over there. It's not far from here. We've been there when the river's going down the road. And then, lastly, this isn't for you, Bobby. So maybe I ought to quit, because you asked for, Councilman Carter here asked for a budget comparison, and I just had maybe 2 questions on the budget
Okay, let's
comparison.
go ahead and bring Sarah back up for that. Thank you, Bobby. Just hang out a second, just in case.
The one that had all the colorful columns,
I like how you describe that.
not that one. Keep scrolling, the middle one, the middle tab, was it just beneath that? Keep going down.
Would you be able to go ahead and ask your question while
Sure.
you're looking? Would it be
Yeah, because I
possible?
don't think these are not complicated.
All right.
On information technology, I was just looking at, right, we're increasing some cost, we're comparing it to before. That 22%, I'm gonna that's mainly associated with, I know some of it's cybersecurity, because we've been doing that.
Yes, so Microsoft 365 and security upgrades, those amendments were done earlier in the year. But yes, that's why you're seeing a change from the adopted to the amended budget.
Okay, and on Main Street, I'm gonna guess based on the report and what we've talked about with sales tax, that with that being up the 28.3% is probably related to maybe hotel motel, something.
That is actually, no, the budget amendment we did in regards to forgiving the $75,000 loan for the Butterball's roof.
Okay, the DDA.
We didn't necessarily have any other department for that to fall into, so we put that in Main Street.
I see. Well, I'm glad I asked that because I had no idea. Okay. That's it.
Okay, all right. Mr. Montahan, do you have anything?
I think, going back to Bobby, I think, going for the Flowers culvert, I think we're pretty, I mean, I see that, for some reason, I just thought we already did that. We've already approved that. So I know we're in pretty deep on that process, so I don't think there's
Let me
really a
tell
way to
you the
turn back.
latest on the Flowers Culvert project. We met with our designer and had lunch with him, Mr. Barber, Sarah, and I, with John Bass.
Was that in the budget?
Georgia and West. And the idea was to go ahead and order the pipe.
Okay.
Have the pipe on the way. 30 weeks lead time.
Okay.
We're ready to bid the thing. So we've wrestled around with it, and we've determined that there are going to be some large contractors bid on this. Trust me, the pipe supplying companies take care of their larger contractors. They get preferential treatment on delivery, and we figure that we can do a lot better by who we choose and ask them to quote us a time frame that they've got to live with. So we're moving forward right now to bid that. No, it has not been done. It has not.
So is that something then, I mean, that you anticipate would be done in this budget time? I mean,
I'm
or is that
hoping.
another, we got 4.5 months until the new budget?
It's
basically?
probably not going to be, the payout's probably not going to happen in this current budget.
Okay.
You know, GDOT's agreed to give us a maximum of $184,000
Right.
toward that.
Right.
But I got to have a bid. We got to have a contract before they, they'll give us the money. But I don't know the way things are going. The supply chain is such now that who knows?
Got the ship sitting off China.
Okay.
See it on satellite.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's what I had.
All right, Ms. Marchman. You have anything? Okay, Ms. McCoy.
Doesn't?
All
Okay,
right, go
so-
ahead.
Thank you. I have a question on the trees, the 269,000. My question is, I remember in the finance committee meeting, we were talking about unassigned balance. Is there any way that since we have the money now, we can approve it in this budget and it would roll over next year to an assigned balance? Or is that only capital expenditures?
We can do it on a service type expense as well. Basically, if you were to allow, well, I would say yes if we were setting up a PO.
Okay.
But if they are not ready to put that out to bid because the quote has come back higher, then we wouldn't have a PO set up for that.
Okay.
But a PO, then yes, that would be encumbered in the fund balance like you were talking about. However, there have been times when y'all have approved a capital item or something large like that doesn't get done. And we include that in the rollovers that Jennifer was talking about in our finance committee meeting. So yes, we could do that. It would roll into fund balance if it's not spent. And then when she does the rollovers, we would say, you approved this last year. We're pulling it back out of fund balance because we already had allocated it for this project. So if you want to do that, that is a possibility.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, does anybody want to be recognized for a second time? All right, let me just say this because I really was feeling Ms. McPherson, what she was talking about. So I'm going to state the obvious, I think, here, because we've had a good discussion on these budget amendments. And the obvious is this: these are very specific items, and we are being challenged with supply chain issues, and we really don't know when or if we might be able to get every single one of these items. Bobby suggests to us that he probably wouldn't be able to get the Berkeley Park or the Reed Plantation tree removal and sidewalk fix, but let me say this: if you approve these, then that's what it's going to be used for, tree removal and sidewalk fix for Berkeley Park or Reed Plantation. And it just seems to me that it might be a suggestion here that we approve these because they are so specific and because we have them here available. If they don't get done, they don't get done. But the money doesn't get spent either. But if there's an opportunity to do it, unless you object to any of these projects, then it seems to me that approving them might be the way to do this. That way they don't have to come back for permission to start each of these items up if it were to become a viable project in the next 4 or 5 months. That's just my thought. Does anybody have any discussion on these?
I think I'm okay with approving it as long as you all take that overall look. Do we spend the money on doing something in one building if we're going to move the employees, and you use your guidance and wisdom on figuring that out?
Okay. Anybody else? Because I really do believe that they've gone through this thing. They made it very target specific. I mean, and it's not like we're approving some huge amount of money that then they go and do whatever they want to with. And I'm not saying they would do that anyway, but they have made this very specific, and I mean, really, Tracy, I appreciate you talking about the break room, because what's written on here suggests a $5,000 break room, which we don't have a $5,000 break room anywhere in the city. I've been in all these facilities. And Tom, to your point, you saying that the North Plant is working properly now, I might go back over there, but I've been there before, and it is, my favorite term I'm not going to use here today, but it's bad. Pete, you don't know till you've been out there. It's the same thing at the West Plant. I appreciate everything that's going on here, and I know these guys do too. But when you go out there and see this stuff finally working right, I finally just heard the other day that we went a whole weekend without having, a problem at the plant, a call in at the plant. I mean, as you all noticed earlier today, I've got some inside track on what goes on at the sewer plant, and I get to hear it even when I don't want to. So I know a little bit more about what's going on out there, and so I appreciate everything that's going on, and I know everybody here does too, and they just want to be budget conscious. But it does seem to me that with some of the explanations we've had here tonight, this is pretty specific, and I think that we'd probably be well served to go ahead and approve it like this and leave it to them to manage. But with that, I will entertain a motion.
I don't know what the motion is, because we don't really have one.
Does anybody have a motion?
I think.
All right,
I
Ms.
think-
McCoy,
Yeah.
I'll recognize you for a motion.
I move to adopt the resolution amending the 2022 fiscal year budget pursuant to Section 2-71 of the city charter.
All right, I have a motion to adopt the resolution amending the 2022 fiscal year budget pursuant to Section 2-71 of the city charter. Is there a second? I have a second from Ms. Marchman. Is there any further discussion?
Just one question.
Mr. Carter.
This budget amendment, does it include the police department increases?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's just for the bonus. As we discussed last Wednesday, the pay increase that you approved was able to be absorbed within their actual salary line item because of the unfilled positions. So what you're amending is $107,000 for the retention bonus that was approved last month.
Okay.
Now, those are the one-time payments.
Correct.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, let me call the question. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Barber, are you prepared to do a city manager's report? All right. Then I know the public is anxiously waiting to hear it, and I'm not being facetious on that. I mean, you do say some good things. You just are a little overly negative sometimes. But to be honest with you, we are moving in such a direction now that it's harder for you to be negative. So I'm going to challenge you to do something. Let's just see what happens. All right, go.
So the first thing I want to tell you about is good and bad. So a couple of weeks ago, the North Bypass bid opening was held. And I don't remember what the estimate was when I got here, but the number that's in my mind is like 10 or 11 million, and then it went to 13, and then it went to 15, and I think the most recent one was 19 million. And the low bid was almost 27 million. So I'm not going to be at all surprised if GDOT rejects all bids and starts over. And, waits a couple of months and then rebids it or something. So that's a good and bad. I mean, we're getting close to actually building a road, but this is the worst time ever, right, to do this project. The other thing that's happened recently that is, I feel like significant, is we have a water connection with Douglas County out on Connors Road that has not been exercised since 2008 when we went through the contract thing. And so about 2018, Pete and I started talking about it, and I said, you need to test this thing, because given that we're in Villa Rica, it's not going to work when you test it. And sure enough, didn't work. We worked on it, didn't work. We worked on it, didn't work, worked on it. So now, 3.5 years later, we got it to work. And we not only got it to work, but we had 2 days in a test period of a month where we were running the amount from Douglas that we would normally run from Carroll. We had 2 days in there where we had the water plant completely off for some mechanical replacement, and ran 100% of our water out of Douglas County. Again, if you had offered me a wager on that, I'd have lost some serious money, because I told Pete multiple times that wasn't possible. He kept telling me it was, and he was right. So keep that in the back of your mind when Pete and I start arguing about water. All right. Most of the construction stuff is the same. You know that we've been having a million TAD meetings. We've had all kind of meetings. We've started meeting with Douglas County about SPLOST, Carroll County about LOST. We're going to have service delivery coming up, I think. There's all kind of stuff that's percolating that's not here yet. All right, then one more thing I want to tell you about, and that's some personnel stuff. So one thing that we're working on now is to send some guys to school to get their CDL license, just the B, not the A, because we run the risk of not being able to run solid waste if we don't do something, because you can't drive, those big trucks without a B. And then the other thing is, in 3 weeks, we have had 6 full-time employees terminate their employment and 4 part-timers. 3 weeks. 6 full-time and 4 part-time. So the places that we're in good shape are the water plant and the sewer plant. The places that we're in worsening shape is the police department and distribution collection. We're also not in great shape in grounds, but we typically hire temps, seasonal, for that, and then let them go in the winter. This spring, we can't even hire them, right? I mean, there's just not, you don't get good applicants for that. I don't know what the temp services are doing, because I don't know what they're working with. But that's a lot of people in a short time. We had 3 police officers retire. Right, all 3 of them retired. Right. But just before that, we had one leave to go to another location, another agency. So anyway, we're hanging in there, well in a couple of places, but not so well in a couple of other places. And I don't have to tell y'all that those of us in this room are not the ones doing the work. Right? There's a whole lot of people that work in streets and grounds and solid waste in PD, and we can only get so thin and function. Right? And so we're really aware of that and are talking about it among ourselves. The HR folks are going to job fairs. We've tried advertising different ways. We think that we're close to having an HR director after 6 months, maybe 6 months.
After what? That's nearly
We
a
started
year.
in November.
It's it's been nearly a year. It's
Well,
been since
we
July.
posted the first time in November.
Okay.
We posted 3 times.
Yeah.
We hadn't even got one of them to the starting line yet.
Okay.
So
are you
anyway,
done?
so that's it.
Yeah. All right. First, let me see if anybody has any questions for Tom on his update.
I have a question.
All right, Mr. Mompton.
Tom, can you please refresh my memory? Are we, out of the reorg, are we still looking for a public works director too? Or I can't remember how that happened. No, okay. Thanks.
Not right
All right.
now, no.
Anybody else?
Yeah, real quick.
All right, Ms. McPherson.
Okay, so I'm assuming that this is widespread. I mean, that's what I'm hearing with employees. This is not just us. And I'm also assuming that we're still doing exit interviews, so we know at least what they're telling us why they're leaving. And I don't know what we can do with that. And all I can say is department heads and everybody down there, just take care of your people and be good to them, because people will be loyal to bosses and stuff that they like. And whatever we can do to just, take care of your people, treat them well.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Carter.
Tom, do we know how many more people we have on the verge of retiring? If three out of this 5 or 6 you talked about retired, how many more on about to retire on us?
I don't have a list or a number, and we don't really talk about it. So maybe I need to.
So there might be a big
specifically ask the
storm
guys.
brewing out there if there's a lot of people getting ready to retire.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the upper manager guys that are older, right? So I mean, you know about them, but as far as in the workforce, I don't know. I would think PD is more the candidate for that.
Okay, the 3 that retired were these manager types.
They were all 3 trainers. So we lost our whole training staff at one time. And we thought we had a replacement, and then whoever we were competing with whipped us pretty bad, so we didn't get him.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let me hit a couple of notes. First, we had in the council schedule for this year a tentative May 24th date. It does appear that we're going to have a council meeting on that date. It also appears that we will not have one in June, which is how we had it scheduled. If something comes up and we need to do one, we will do that. But I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Let me also talk a little bit about Lost, Splost, SDS. So Douglas County, we have had our initial Lost meeting. Which one was it? Splost meeting. We've now been put on notice that we are going to enter into a Lost and SDS agreement with Douglas County, and that is in late May when we'll have our initial meeting on that. And we have already had our first meeting with Carroll County on Lost. So once those things are kind of hammered out and we start getting close to something, we'll be back to the council, before we get ready to enter into those agreements. But I wanted to make you all aware that those were going on. We also have had, as Tom said, a lot of meetings on TAD. And, part of the complexity of that is that you have sort of competing interest in getting involved in these agreements between the school system and the county and the city. And not only that, you also have a whole lot of different personalities and the inability to meet with a large group. But we think that we are making some progress. We presented at the county commission meeting back in 2 weeks ago, last Thursday. Somebody's holding up notes in the audience. This ain't The Price is Right. But I will mention that. But anyway, so then we went to the county meeting, and there we received a counter proposal to the TAD. Now keep in mind, the TAD agreement that we sent out back in December was a really a template for what TADs looked like. The city of Villa Rica didn't really have any specifics in there that was designed for the city. That was supposed to be the start of a discussion, and now we have our first counter proposal on that. So anyway, I just wanted to bring everybody up to date on some of those things. We do have executive session tonight. We do intend to come back, and having made some sort of a motion, we'll take some action, so you'll need to hang around. So we're going in for two purposes. One is for Mr. Carter.
My calendar says council meeting if needed. Are we going to have a meeting on the 24th?
Yes, sir, we are. That was what I was saying. We are going to have that meeting. We've got some items that we're going to need to do.
I just want to make sure, because
Yeah, well, yes, we don't want to wait till July to do them.
okay, I just want to make sure, because it said if needed. I want to make sure plan to be here.
Yeah, it will be. So that was what I was saying. And then let me just be clear from the note in the audience, there is election day, May 24th as well. So, okay. All right. May 24th. That was a tentative council meeting on your schedule.
Are we on a work session or just the meeting?
Yeah, we have a work session that day and a meeting. It's going to be like a regular. So we're going into executive for real estate and for personnel. I'm going to ask David to introduce those, and I'll ask for a motion.
Yeah, there needs to be a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of meeting to discuss or vote to enter into a contract to purchase, dispose of, or lease property subject to approval in a subsequent public vote as provided in Georgia Code Section 50-14-3B1D. And second purpose of meeting to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee as provided in Georgia Code Section 50-14-3B2.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Carr makes a motion to go into executive session for the purposes as stated by the city attorney. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second from Mr. Montahan. All in favor? All right, that's unanimous. We will be in executive session. Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion to come back from executive session.
So moved.
I have a motion to return from executive session by Mr. Carter and a second by Ms. Marchman. All in favor? Okay, we're back from executive session into regular session. Mr. Mecklin.
Yeah, there were two actions taken in executive session which need to be brought up here in open session. The first is a motion to approve the employment of Ms. Lena Taylor as the department head for the Department of Human Resources. I think
Okay, is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
All right, then Mr. Carter made a motion. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Marchman. So let me just say, we have had an exhaustive process, to say the least. We have been close at different times, and finally, I feel like we're there. She's not here tonight, but she was here earlier today. I think we got a real winner in this lady. I have a lot of confidence in her. She comes to us with city experience, also university experience. She was most recently a consultant, and now she will be joining Villa Rica with this vote here tonight, and I'm really excited to welcome her here. So is there any other discussion? All in favor? All right, that is unanimous. All right, Mr. Mecklin.
the second item to be brought up is to announce that our municipal judge, Michael Hubbard, excuse me, who was recently appointed as the chief magistrate for Carroll County, has tendered his resignation as our municipal judge effective May 20th. The city is going to accept applications from any and all interested persons for the next 10 days through May the 20th for anybody who expresses interest, so that the city council can evaluate those persons who may be interested to make a selection to fill Mr. Hubbard's shoes.
Okay.
That's not a motion, right?
That is a.
Yeah, that's just an announcement essentially.
Okay.
So, Madam Clerk, I would like you to get a statement from Mr. Mecklin so that you can have that put on our Facebook. And Ken Denny, if you'll let him know, I want that to go out in a special newsletter, because we only are doing this for 10 days. So let's have him put that together to go out tomorrow if possible. And I'm going to ask that those applications be submitted at the same time to the city attorney and to the city manager. Okay? All right, Mr. Mecklin, do you have anything else?
One
do
more.
not.
You got one more?
All right.
We didn't have one more?
No,
Okay.
that's the only thing. That's
about
all
that?
that needs to be voted on.
Oh, okay.
All
Oh,
in
that's
open
right.
session.
All right.
Okay, so let me just check real quick. Mr. Barber, do you have anything to add before we, Mr. Mecklin, anything?
No.
All right, any council member have anything to add before we, all right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion to adjourn from Ms. Marchman,